Hello, and welcome to the new faculty orientation session presented by Student Accessibility Services, or SAS. The goals of today's presentation include an introduction to Student Accessibility Services, review of the guiding university policies and procedures and legal obligations in regards to academic accommodations. I'm going to spend some time defining some terms that are related to academic accommodations. And lastly, we will look at an accommodation form and examples of accommodations that are common. My name is Nancy Cahill, and I'm the manager of Student Accessibility Services on both the Thunder Bay and the Aurelia campus. In Thunder Bay, we have Sarah Mendick, who is our administrative assistant, and more than likely, she'd be your first point of contact if you were to reach out to us at sas@lakeheadu.ca. We also have 3 accessibility advisors, Patricia Johnson, Leslie Kingsmill, and Megan Verardo, who work directly with students and to set up academic accommodations. And then the accommodation forms are sent to you, the faculty. We also have Rochelle Paquette, who is a learning strategist, assistive technologist, and she provides assistive technology training and support to students and faculty when required. Lastly, we have David Schelling, who is an access strategist. His main responsibilities include supporting students and faculty with the arrangement of academic accommodated tests and exams. In Aurelia, the staff and student accessibility services consist of Danielle Poeta, who is an accessibility and academic skills advisor, and Alicia Johnson, who is an accessibility advisor. The Office of Student Accessibility Services coordinates services and facilitates the provision of academic accommodations for students with disabilities and or medical conditions. We work collaboratively with students, staff, and faculty in developing strategies to support a successful learning experience while maintaining the academic standards and the integrity of the university. Student Accessibility Services experienced and qualified staff spend time determining academic accommodation based on functional limitations identified in confidential medical documentation. Lakehead University is committed to providing academic accommodations to students with disabilities and or medical conditions, and we are guided by the policies and procedures, specifically accommodations and access for students with disabilities and medical conditions. This policy and procedure outlines Lakehead's commitment to fostering an inclusive climate with equitable access, understanding, and mutual respect, which recognizes the dignity and worth of all persons. The policies and procedures also reaffirms that students must satisfy the central requirements of their respective courses, while at the same time, Lakehead recognizes that students with disabilities may require accommodations to enable them to do so. With respect to academic accommodations and students with disabilities, we also have legal obligations that help to guide us. Specifically, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which ensures equality for all, including those students with disabilities and medical conditions. In addition to this, the Ontario Human Rights Code guarantees the right to equal treatment without discrimination on the ground of disability, and states that an accessible education system is one in which persons with disabilities can access their environment and face the same duties and responsibilities as everyone else with dignity and without impediment. We also have legal obligations to the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, the AODA. This law guides us and helps us as it sets out accessibility standards in the province of Ontario, with a goal of seeing a fully accessible Ontario by 2025. Specifically, the Information and Communication Standards of the AODA list rules for organizations like Lakehead to create and provide and receive information and communications that people with disabilities can access. Our duty lies here in regards to the provision of accessible content and alternate formats of any type of communication. So what is an accommodation? Accommodations are an individualized way that a student can receive course content and materials, or the alternate way that a student can participate to demonstrate their knowledge. Accommodations are based on a student's functional limitations, which is identified in valid medical documentation, which may cause barriers to learning. The main purpose of academic accommodations is to bridge the gap between the disability, the functional limitations, and the demonstration of the course requirements. This will ensure that the playing field will be leveled, and it will ensure full participation. Accommodations may be provided up to the point of undue hardship, and they do not interfere with essential requirements. So when we talk about essential requirements, we're talking about the requirement of a course or program that refers to the knowledge and skills that must be demonstrated in order for a student to successfully meet the learning objectives of that course or program. For example, it may be likely that an essential requirement of a course may be that a student masters core aspects of the course curriculum, but it's much less likely that it will be an essential requirement to demonstrate the mastery in a particular format. So accommodations allow for students to be able to express their knowledge in an alternate format at times. I also mentioned earlier that accommodations are put in place to the point of undue hardship, and they must ensure that the essential requirements are met. So when we're talking about undue hardship, according to the Human Rights Code, they state that every student with a disability is entitled to accommodation up to the point of undue hardship. And the code sets out 3 elements that may be considered in assessing whether an accommodation would cause undue hardship, which are very high standards to meet. One being cost, outside sources of funding, and the last one is health and safety requirements. Those are the 3 elements that must be considered when you are assessing whether an accommodation would cause undue hardship. As a faculty member, oftentimes students may come to you to discuss and let you know that they have a disability or medical condition. This is often, it can be initiated by the student, and it's totally voluntary outside of student accessibility services. The Ontario Human Rights Commission and Lakehead University Policies and Procedures state that students are not required to reveal their private medical information to you or to seek accommodations directly from their professors, their instructors, or teaching assistants. So we often, get a question from faculty, what should I do if a student discloses to them that they have a disability or medical condition? And we always encourage faculty to refer those students to SAS. It's important to, when a student does disclose to you, it's important to remember that, students, like I mentioned, they don't have to, reveal their private medical information to you. We encourage them not to share their confidential medical documentation with their faculty. We always, we encourage them to come to us to register with our office so we can ensure that their confidential medical documentation is held in confidence. We also remind faculty and staff that academic accommodation and registered with SAS is confidential. And it's important to always remember that no reference should ever be made to a student being registered with student accessibility services in the presence of other students or wherever it is likely someone will overhear. And we encourage faculty to reach out to student accessibility services about any concerns regarding a student in your class and their disability or medical related condition or their academic accommodations. We are always happy to work with you and support you with that. And one reason why we do that, one reason why we would encourage you to refer, because oftentimes, disabilities and medical conditions can be very complex. And, the impact of a disability can vary greatly from one student to the next. Oftentimes there's multiple disabilities, and these disabilities may be non-visible. There can be medication issues related to the disability, and conditions can often be unstable or unpredictable and episodic. So it's really important for you to refer your students to student accessibility services if they come to you and share that they have a disability or medical condition, or even if you are concerned that they may have that. The experienced and qualified staff in SAS, can determine academic accommodations appropriate academic accommodations based on the functional limitations identified in the student's medical documentation. So should a student, in your course engage with SAS for academic accommodations, you'll be sent an accommodation form similar to this. So on this slide, you'll see a copy of an accommodation form from SAS. On the top, there's a privacy statement, that just lists that, the student, that we're accommodating the student, and, all of this information is confidential. We always want to protect the student's privacy and confidentiality and comfort and autonomy. Below that, you'll find the faculty's name and course will be listed. And below that is the student's name and student number. There's no mention of disability or, the student's diagnoses or medical condition on this form. It's just strictly the faculty name and courses, the student's name and student number, along with the approved academic accommodations. There's 2 sections, one for lectures, laboratories, tutorials, placements, and practicums. Our other section is for tests, exams. Below that, you'll see that there is a statement encouraging you to reach out to us if you've got questions or concerns about any of the accommodations. And then below that is the accessibility advisor's content information. So on the accommodation form that we just took a look at, you'll see that the accommodations, approved accommodations are listed there. And some common accommodations that you might find listed on these forms could be, accommodations like access to class notes, like note takers or audio recordings, like our online courses or, our online environment is, little bit different. And so one thing that we're finding that a lot of faculty are providing to their students are their Zoom recordings with transcriptions, which really support students with disabilities and medical conditions, as it creates it ensures access to the class content for them. We also encourage faculty to always remember, you need to have closed captioning and transcriptions of all videos that you're sharing in your class. And we encourage you to enable that for your Zoom recording online classes too. Another common accommodation might be breaks to stand, stretch, and move. These are related to the student's disability. There could be time extensions for assignments and flexible attendance requirements depending on the disability or medical condition. Some examples of quiz or test or exam accommodations can be things like extra time, use of a computer with or without assistive software, distraction-reduced environment, disability-related breaks, pre-approved formulas or fact sheets, 1 exam per day, need to reschedule a test or exam for a disability reason. You'll notice that, when you receive an accommodation form, there may be many different accommodation forms, and we want you to know that the accommodation forms are customized for the students based on their individual needs and functional limitations. So it's very unusual when you receive accommodation forms that are exactly the same, because they are very based on the individual and their functional limitations. We in SAS have been updating our website to ensure that we have numerous resources available to you as faculty. And I would encourage you to check out our faculty and staff resource page that includes accessibility resources, such as enabling closed caption in Zoom, creating accessible documents, academic accommodations, mental health resources, and accessibility policies. All of the links are embedded in my presentation, so you'll be able to access those links easily. And at the end of the presentation, I have a list of some other resources for you as well. Finally, I'd like to share the Student Accessibility Services contact information with you. At this time, we are working virtually, and we're happy to meet with you by phone or Zoom to discuss any questions that you may have about academic accommodations. Student Accessibility Services will be returning to campuses soon, and I want to share the contact information for both Thunder Bay campus and the Aurelia campus SAS offices. So if you are on the Thunder Bay campus, we are located down in the tunnel of the Student Center and room SC 0003. Our phone number is 807-343-8047, but you can easily email us at sas@lakeheadu.ca. If you're on the Aurelia campus, Student Accessibility Services is located in room OA 1030. We can be reached by phone at 705-330-4010, extension 2103, or you can easily email us at oraccess@lakeheadu.ca. That's oraccess@lakeheadu.ca. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about any kind of academic accommodations that you receive, and support you along with the students with disabilities or medical conditions. My final page provides you with some references and resources, some links to resources, and for your general interest. And I would encourage you to explore the Accessibilities for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, the AODA, the Council of Ontario Universities, Accessible Campus. There's numerous resources there for faculty and staff, and also the Lakehead University Policies and Procedures, Access and Accommodations for Students with Disabilities or Medical Condition, and the Ontario Human Rights, the OHRC, and the Policy on Accessible Education for Students with Disabilities, and also the policy on preventing discrimination based on mental health disabilities and addictions. Lastly, we've included the link to the SAS Faculty Resources page. And like I mentioned, please feel free to reach out to us anytime for if you have any questions. Thank you for joining me today.